Hi! Today I'm sharing two Thinking of You cards from the brand new Gallery Blooms bundle. One simple and one stepped up. I'm Shelley Godby, and for 24 years, I've been teaching you how to create hand stamped smiles through my YouTube videos, my Stamping Smiles blog, and my mailing list. And if you're curious how to take a classic floral card and give it a little wow factor, then you'll love today's Gallery Blooms tutorial. Let's jump right in. Here's a closer view of the Gallery Blooms bundle. Isn't this gorgeous? It is from the 25-26 Stampin' Up! Catalog. And this starts May 6th, 2025. It'll be here before we know it. So you've got these beautiful flowers. Look at these. And you have the coordinating dies with the outline dies to cut all of these images, plus some intricate dies. And there are so many dies. It took two of these magnet cards, as well as the cardstock with the tape that they came on, to hold them all. And this makes two frames stinking cool, this die. And oh my goodness, absolutely gorgeous. And when you order the two of these together with the special bundle item number, you'll save 10% on both. Always look for that bundle discount if there's a stamp set with coordinating dies or a punch, because that savings can really add up. And I mentioned that these came on cardstock in an envelope, and that's okay. But I just really prefer these magnet cards that I picked up at Stampin' Storage, and they're super strong. And so I'm not trying to get them back on the tape, and they're right here, super strong, and I just take them off and able to get them right back on. And then I store them in one of these storage pockets. And so this sounds like, Stampin' Storage. It's not a Stampin' Up! Company. That's why I'm putting this code here for you. So you can follow that and make sure you get the pockets and not the sleeves. So you can follow that QR code, or everything is listed under my video. And they have products to keep your crafting supplies in your craft room beautifully, amazingly organized. Okay, so let's go ahead and start stamping. And we're going to do some embossing. Oh my goodness, life is so good. All right, so what I have here, I chose very vanilla cardstock instead of basic white because I just wanted a vintage feel for this. But whenever you're stamping on white cardstock or an ivory like this, the very vanilla, you absolutely want to use the Stampin' Up! Basic White or the very vanilla cardstock because it has a smooth, tight finish that gives you a crisp, clean image. Okay, and so what I have here, look at this, the new Secret C Classic Stampin' Pad, one of the 25-26 in colors, and it is beautiful. And designing this card was the first time I had played with it. So what we're going to do is pick this up and slide that in. And I chose that big, beautiful flower. And so my stamp is bigger than my pad. So whenever that happens, I turn the pad or the stamp, upside down and take the pad to it. So this is a photopolymer stamp set, and that the rubber is clear so I can see right where I'm stamping. And I have this, and they're all unmounted on a clear block E. And you use the blocks over and over and over, and they're just so comfortable because they have the groove here that's rounded and polished. Very comfortable. So let's stamp straight up and down. And let's see what we get. Oh, very, very nice. Love this. Okay, so while I have this pad out, for my greeting, I've got some more very vanilla cardstock. And for this, I'm going to use the beautiful Motifs stamp set. It's part of the Mega Suite, and it has coordinating dies too. Aren't these beautiful? So in this, I am really tickled because besides the images, the greetings are just so very usable. I love Just a Note and Thinking of You because it can work for virtually everything. But so is You've Been on My Mind is a good one for you. Thank you for everything. Wishing you love and happiness that lasts a lifetime. Very usable for the wedding cards. And of course, hello, and I'm always here for you. Really a great greeting set along with some images. But when you pair it with the dies, oh boy, huh? All right, and so this is also available in a bundle. All right, so let's go ahead and stamp our Thinking of You. There we go. And under the video, there is a link to my blog post with this card. So you can get all the measurements as well as a downloadable PDF that includes the card sketch. So our stamping is done. So now we've got a little bit of embossing to do. So I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and we're going to emboss with the new Damask Designs embossing folder. And this is a coordinating product and part of the Mega Suite that includes the two bundles. And so the Mega Suite is, I mean, you can order just a bundle, and or you can order both, but or you can just order everything that coordinates, and that's one of them. And so I'm going to fold this down. Isn't that so cool how these fold up? So it takes a lot less room on your shelf. So let me put this back so you can see better. And so this is a standard embossing folder. And so for that, the sandwich is, and that means building up these plates to the appropriate thickness. So I'm going to start with a plate number 1, and then a plate number 3, and all of this is printed on here. Of course, you can follow along and make this card with me, but when you're making another card, all the directions are on here. You don't have to memorize this. Okay, and then we have our Damask Designs embossing folder, and there we go, Secret C cardstock. Oh, so pretty. So one of the 25, 27 in colors. And we'll place it in there. And I do want to make sure it's on there straight because of the design. Well, let's do it this way. That's what's so cool about these 6x6 folders. I can have that design going for however the orientation of my card is. If I want it, this to be a landscape, but mine's a portrait. So let's turn it. And that's nice because now you have possibilities. When we had the smaller ones, we didn't always have that possibility. All right, so you'll want to remember this. You want the hinge to go through first, and easy way to remember that is the Stampin' Up! Logo facing you. And then to finish our sandwich, we need another plate number 3. And then we'll just go ahead and crank this through and see what we get with the beautiful embossed design. Okay, you set this aside. There we go. And look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Very, very pretty. And that just really fits so well with this classic floral that we have here. There we go, as I drop that. Flower. And so next, what we need to do is, you know what, we're going to cut the cardstock. We're going to cut the cardstock and make 2 halves. And I'll grab that next. So I've got my paper trimmer, and I'm going to turn it to be able to use it if I wanted you to see this. Okay, and it comes with 2 blades. This light gray is a scoring blade, and I'll explain that in a minute, and the darker is the cutting. We'll push those all the way to the top. And so I've got here some more Secret C cardstock, 8.5 by 11, and one of these will make 2 cards. All right, a standard card for card making. So we'll pick this up and slide it in along the 11-inch side, and I want to cut this in half. So here's the 5-inch mark, here's the 6-inch. This longest line in between, well, that's the 5.5. So we'll place it on that line, not next to it, but on it, and we're butting it up against the top. So that squares it off, and that line goes all the way down, even in the arm, because I can cut longer than 12 by 12 cardstock or paper with this. All right, so we've got it on that line, butted up here, squared up, and then we just cut. And now I have 2 card bases. How cool is that? Okay, and so now if I just fold this without a crease in it, it's not pretty. So we're going to put a crease in with this scoring blade. So now this is 8.5 inches long. And so let's pick that up. All right, so we know between the whole numbers, the longest line is the half. That second longest line is the quarter mark. 4.25 is half of 8.5. Let's place it on this line and then pull this over it. Now, I don't have a lot of natural pressure, so I run it over a couple times. One of my sweet stampers, apparently, her pressure is more, and she was just cutting it. So, practice and adapt to what you need. But for me, that's just right. And do you see that crease? Well, and then we're going to fold this way, and I line up those edges, take a bone folder. That crease is what gives you that beautiful, neat edge. Like I said, without it, it can be just really crinkled and not a pretty look at all. So we've got our stamping done. We've got our beautiful flowers. That's so pretty. And that is a nice deep blue. Like, wow, because I thought about stamping, and actually I did try stamping it in just black. It wasn't what I hoped for. And then I tried this one. Oh, so pretty. Okay. And so whenever I emboss, a lot of times it just makes it's just not as, we'll just say strong anymore, right? Because I embossed it, it weakens it. So, but when I want my card to be that's why I cut this down smaller and I'll put it right on here. And whenever there is anything that prevents it from being perfectly flat, like an embossed edge, you want a stronger adhesive, and mini glue dots is one of those. And so let's take it out of there. And the dots are on the paper like this. So I don't want to touch them. So I will take this strip to my cardstock, and every once in a while that does happen. Okay. All right. Let's peel it that way and leave it on there. There we go. Sometimes embossing can be, it's always beautiful, but with the adhesive, but we're doing good. The other thing would be I could take your pick tool and pick them up and put them off, but this goes quicker for me. And I like to use them more than just one corner because the embossing, this is just not perfectly flat cardstock. So let's do one more here. I'm looking to see them in the light. There we go, right here. Okay. All right, so now make sure my design's going the way I want. Center this on here. Tone on tone is one of my favorite looks for the cardstock. It gives you another layer. And with this, it gave us some texture. But even if I hadn't textured it, it just really steps it up. Isn't that a beautiful design? Okay, and then I am going to layer it with the Secret C, another one of the new 2527 in colors. So I need to adhere it, and I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal. And sometimes I have to help it. Get a little bit of help right here. There we go. And center this in. Very, very nice. Okay, and so now for my favorite adhesive ever, I've got the Stampin' Dimensionals. Yeah, and these foam adhesive dots, well, they give our card some depth. Instead of everything just laying flat, we give it a little lift, and that's a really easy way to dress up a card. And these are good for holding on to the embossed image. So I'd either need to use something like the mini glue dots, the Stampin' Seal Plus, the stronger one of this, or Stampin' Dimensionals. Really a good choice. And we'll place this right here. Fantastic. And remember, thinking of you. So a couple more Stampin' Dimensionals. And we will have a simple but classic thinking of you card. Really easy to do, huh? And so pretty. And even, yeah, the very vanilla on the very vanilla, but the dimensionals just make that look extra special. And there we have it. Very, very pretty. So next we'll do the stepped up version of my Gallery Blooms card. So before I show you my stepped up version, I wanted to show you what this die does. You get 2 frames out of it, and very nice. Um, it creates a mitered corner, which is sharp, that looks like a frame. And then you have the embossing around the inside and the outside. And so that's what you get with that wonderful die. That'll be fun to play with. And then my plan for my stepped up card was to have this die cut behind my beautiful flower, set it off a little bit, and much to my surprise, it didn't die cut out. Now, this is beautiful though. It's like, wow, just that by itself, I thought that would make a beautiful card in itself. So I had to go to plan B, but I definitely wanted you to see that. So that is from the Beautiful Motifs dies. This is going to be one fabulous mega sweet to play with. Okay, so for our stepped up version, all right, let's come back and some more Very Vanilla cardstock, our big beautiful flower, and our Secret C classic Stampin' Pad. Okay, let's do this. Let's get that inked up because this time I will die cut it. And that's how I was planning to put the die cut silhouette behind it. And straight up and down. And we'll grab the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine again. And we'll get this die cut. So this time, instead of using plate number 1 and plate number 2 that comes with it, to die cut the thin metal dies, I'm going to use the magnetic platform. And this I picked up on Amazon, and there's the QR code, and it's also listed under the video. And with this, I don't need to use any kind of adhesive to hold the thin metal die in place. Do you see those little circles on here? Let me get this out of the way. That's where all the magnets are, all those little circles. Okay, and so I want to get the die to stick to those. So I do need another plate number 3, a cutting plate, our stamped Very Vanilla cardstock. Let me pick this up. There we go. And then my die. Fantastic. And I'd like to drop it on there because then it finds the magnets. And because if not, you know how you put down metal with a magnet and it just keeps pulling. So I let it find it and then rotate, move it around so I can get the outline cut. Okay. It's a little bit challenging for me because I usually stand right over top of it. And I've tried standing over top of it doing a video, but the camera's in my way. So we will see what we get. And if I don't do a fantastic job, we'll just pretend that I did, okay? All right. And so then we finish it with another plate number 3. We will place it on there. You don't want to scoot it on because then you'll scoot the die. And so that magnetic platform doesn't make me a perfect die cutter, but it's made me a much better die cutter. So when I can do it right the first time, I save a lot of time, and that's precious to me. So let's see how well. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness. We have the die cut flower and the parts I already showed you. We stamped the thinking of you, and I have the Damask Designs embossed cardstock on our Secret C card base. So now, here we go. I've got some more Very Vanilla cardstock, and I'm going to use the basic beige classic Stampin' Pad. I wanted a nice soft color, and Crumb Cake was a little bit more than I wanted. And then I've got this beautiful stamp. Do you remember this? From the Beautiful Motifs stamp set that we got the greeting from. Okay, and very simple. straight up and down. And this is on a clear block H. Okay, and so let's come here, stamp, and stamp. But we gave ourselves a really pretty background. You know what? Let's turn this over and try again. I went closer to that edge than I wanted. All right. That's why God gave us two sides to cardstock, right? So we can do both. Here. There we go. Let's come over a little bit further. I was right to the edge. And, you know, if I was going to go to the edge, both need to go to the edge. Now, isn't that pretty? And as it dries, it'll get even a little bit more subtle. And this on here. Well, you know, I couldn't do what I wanted. You know, this just, I can show you now, this just wasn't standing out, right? It was just covering it all up, and I was trying to get it off centered. Like, nope, it's supposed to be a stepped up version, not a completely different card. So isn't that pretty on there? And then I thought, ooh, I die cut, you know, with that same die, another one in the Secret C. So here's what we're going to do. Back with my Stampin' Seal. And like I said, a little stepped up version. It's nice, these little extras. What you can do. So the first card, just perfectly lovely. Very, very pretty. I'll be proud to send that. But it's fun to, you know, to let you see what else you can do to step them up. And we're going to create a shadow. Here we go. And look at that. Then it just stands out even more from the background. And then back with my favorite adhesive ever, right? Stampin' Dimensionals. And so that's giving it a lift. Another just simple way to step up our handmade greeting cards. And one more. There we go. And you know how I turn that over? That's why I don't adhere anything until I'm done stamping, in case I change my mind. It's like, oh, I didn't do as good as I would have liked. And so I was able to turn it over. If I had that adhered to the cloud cover, I would have been tearing up cardstock. That wouldn't have been so easy to do. Isn't that pretty? That design, even though subtle, flanking both sides. So now back with my Stampin' Seal. There we go. Boy, these two colors are just gorgeous together. Okay, and then of course, again, we're going to give this a lift and our greeting. Gosh, I have a thing for Stampin' Dimensionals. Wish I had invented them. I'd be so rich. Oh my goodness. All right, and while we have those out, let's go ahead and do our greeting again. Guess I could have had those on there. Fantastic. Now, cloud cover, we just got an update on that. The ink and the firm foam pad don't always play well together. Sometimes the two, and there's no predicting it, it's just not stable. So Stampin' Up! Will not be offering the cloud cover in the classic Stampin' Pad, the regular size pad like we're used to. It won't be offered. They just couldn't get it stabilized, and they always want to sell you a quality product. All right, but the ink itself is perfectly fine. So what they do know is the felt pads, you know, that's what the Stampin' Spots are made of. No problem on those. And so you can order empty ink spots and create your own with the ink refill. Isn't that beautiful? All right, and then for our finishing touch, we have the antique pearls. That just seemed so perfect with such a classic design. So I like to press down on the embellishment so the adhesive sticks to the embellishment and not the acetate sheet, and using my Take Your Pick tool for my placement. Okay, and one more. I do want those in a nice neat row for sure. There we go. All right, now that I'm happy, let's press on those. And there we go. stepped up version. So let's look at our simple one. Perfectly lovely, but stepped up is always a lot of fun too, isn't it? And so I'm just really so simple, but just so pleased. Um, so the Gallery Blooms bundle will be available to order starting May 6th, 2025, and the beautiful motifs bundle. And you know what? And part of that mega suite is that Damask Designs embossing folder, and there's more. And so you're just going to want it all. So just order that whole mega suite. And you can do that in my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com, starting on May 6th. If you'd like to make either or both of my Gallery Blooms cards, all the supplies will be available to order starting May 6, 2025 in my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com. And when you place your May 2025 order of $50 or more with me, I'm going to send you one of my Gallery Blooms cards. Bump that order up to 150 or more, and I'll send you one of the stepped up Gallery Blooms cards. So starting May 6th, get on over to my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com, to pick up the new Gallery Blooms bundle. I'm Shelley Godby, teaching you how to create hand stamped smiles. Thanks for watching, and God bless.